Hey everyone, this is Pete, and welcome back to Evercade A to Z, a series of short playthroughs of the games for Blaze's Evercade retro gaming platform. Today we're looking at Burnin Rubber from the Data East Collection 1 cartridge, the third in the Evercade collection. This was originally a 1982 arcade release from Data East, ported to Famicom and NES in 1986 with considerable enhancements and expansions. This NES and Famicom version is best thought of as more of a sequel than a port in many ways. Burnin Rubber, if you've not come across it before, is a top-down vertically scrolling driving game. Its arcade original version predates Midway's much better known Spy Hunter by a full year, but they are both quite different games from one another, so they're both worth the play if you've not come across them before. The NES version that we'll be looking at today that's on the Evercade was also known as Buggy Popper on its original Japanese release, and Bump and Jump in the West after some of the previous home ports for platforms like Atari 2600. But for the Evercade release it's gone back to being called Burnin Rubber. So without further ado, let's go play Burnin Rubber. Okay, here we are with Burnin Rubber for the NES, or the Evercade in this case. Originally ported to NES and Famicom by Vic Tokai and published by Data East. So, as I say, this is more of a sequel to the arcade original than an actual straight port of it. So, this is a game sort of best taken on its own merits, if anything. But it's a lot of fun. And so what you do, you control the red car and crash. You control the red car. You're supposed to be rescuing your girlfriend from some evil mobsters who have captured her in that short intro sequence. And all the other cars on the road are trying to stop you from doing that. And you can move left and right, and accelerate, and slow down, and you can jump. And that's sort of the big thing with this game, is the fact you can jump. And jumping is useful for a couple of reasons. Firstly, you can jump over gaps like that. And secondly, you can jump on top of enemy cars. Or, indeed, land in the water. So yeah, unlike Spy Hunter, which I mentioned at the start, where you have actual weapons that you can use on your enemies, in this, the only way you can actually defeat enemies is either ramming them off the road or landing on them with a well-timed jump. And when you reach the end of a stage, you will get a bonus according to how many cars that you smashed. But you'll also get a huge bonus. You'll get a 50,000 point bonus if you manage to get through the entire sorry, music was distracting me there. If you get through the entire stage without causing any wrecks whatsoever, you actually get 50,000 points. I've never managed to do that yet, because it's surprisingly difficult to do, particularly when you come up on those jumps, and the enemies seem to have a bit of a habit of just ploughing into the Riverside, and that counts as you having wrecked them. So, you know, in a lot of cases, it feels like you may as well have a bit of fun. Those trucks there, you have to be careful, because they will drop things on you from out the back there. Now you saw there I landed on a little island halfway across that jump. In a lot of cases, if you do that, you'll get some bonus points for landing on a difficult target, which can be quite nice. But it's often a very tiny area that you need to land on in order to do that. In the case of these jumps, it's that tiny little island on the left rather than the bigger one on the right. But yeah, that can be a good way of scoring some additional points if you time it correctly. And you'll see up in the upper right corner, we have a meter that's counting down. That is your fuel meter. I believe you can keep driving when you've run out of that, but you just can't jump anymore. So if there's any more of those big jumps left in the level, then you're kind of screwed. And there we are. That's the end of the first level. There's normally some sort of graphic at the end of each level where you can land on it and get some bonus points. So there we've got 4,200 points for crashing 14 cars along the way. And then we move on to the next level. So this is one way in which this version distinguishes itself from the arcade original. So, see there, I got 5,000 points for landing on top of that viaduct, but I still crashed. So, you know, still got points though. yeah, this is one way that this version distinguished itself from the arcade version. So the arcade version was all about kind of vertically scrolling track racing, I guess you'd call it. But as you progressed through the game, you went through the different seasons. Whereas in this one, you go through a series of different environments, each of which have their own unique hazards to deal with. And so that's one way that this version is sort of quite noticeably expanded from the original arcade edition. But it's quite tricky, as you can see. It's also monstrously addictive, I do warn you. So this is very simple to pick up because the only mechanics you've got to worry about are moving and jumping. And once you get a feel for what you're actually doing in the game and how to deal with threats, this is a massively, massively addictive arcadey experience. It's a ton of fun. And that I keep coming back to long after I've written about it on Moe Gamer and long after I've made this video. It's just a perfect combination of really likeable elements. So you've got this lovely sort of chipper music going in the background. Oh no! You've got that element of risk versus reward that is the essence of a good arcade game in most cases. You've got the easy to pick up, hard to master mechanics. You've got lots of interesting little techniques and secrets to discover. And plenty of ways to challenge yourself, so whether you're going for a high score, or if you're trying to get through as many stages as you possibly can. There we are, getting a bit more back into the groove now. Only 9 cars this time, 2,700 points. Then onto the city stage again. So after this, there's like a tropical island stage, which has, I think, my favourite music in the game. So we'll see if we can get on to... Gonna sneeze. Oh dear. Not a good combination. Twitchy top-down driving game plus sneeze. Bad move. So you can approach this game in lots of different ways. You can concentrate on trying to get down the road as safely as possible. And maybe, if you're lucky, get that 50,000 point bonus. But you have to bear in mind the fact that if you run into cars, they will bounce you around quite a bit. You've also got to watch out for things like those trucks there, who don't always drop their payload on you, and sometimes they drop something good. Oh, that was the end there as well. Damn it. Yeah, there is like a pickup you can get where you get some bonus points while your car is being repaired, and you can sort of hammer the button and increase your fuel while you're getting that. But that seems to appear randomly. I don't think there's a specific trigger for that coming up, but we'll see if we can spot one. In my past experience, it tends to be just something that I've ended up hitting mostly by chance, so... Yeah, I love this game. Data East is not a company that I know super well. Although even though I say that, there's a fair amount of stuff on that Data East cartridge that I was previously familiar with and maybe hadn't sort of made the Data East association. Like, I love Magical Drop, for example. And obviously I know that's a Data East franchise, but like, when I think of Magical Drop, I just think of Magical Drop. I don't tend to think of it being a Data East franchise for some reason. I don't know if that makes sense, but... But yeah, Data East have some real cracker games in their back catalogue, many of which are on... No! Many of which are on this this pack for the Evercade. There's a few that got some questionable ports, and the early cartridges in the Evercade collection have exclusively focused on console ports of games rather than the arcade originals. So, for example, on this package, you've got the NES version of Bad Dudes, which not many people seem to have a lot of nice things to say about. And you've got the, I think, Mega Drive version of Two Crude Dudes. Which, again, for some people, the arcade version would have been preferable. But I've talked about this elsewhere before on the Mario Gamer podcast and on a few of these episodes before. Back in the day, sort of, Arcade Perfect was the holy grail of gaming, but now that Arcade Perfect is something eminently possible, I actually find myself preferring the home ports of games in a lot of cases, because in many cases they've been rebalanced and restructured to make them more friendly to home play. Whereas if you're just emulating an arcade version, there's nothing stopping you from just feeding in a bunch of credits, and to me, I know not everyone feels this way, but to me, doing that kind of misses the point of trying to learn how to progress through the game and get high scores and so on. As me and Chris have said in the Mario Game podcast in the past when we've talked about this, it all depends on why you are playing these games. If you're playing to sort of work your way through and admire all the artwork and the sound and stuff like that, then yeah, fine, credit feed your way to your heart's content. But I tend to find with these arcade-style games, I enjoy the mechanical components sufficiently to want to, if not master it, then at least get to grips with it. And so I tend to find, when it comes to 80s and early 90s arcade games in particular, these days I actually prefer playing the home versions for that reason, because in most cases they will limit the number of credits you've got, or what you can access according to what difficulty you're playing on, and that sort of thing. And that's incentive to come back to that game and try again and learn how to play it and memorize its various stages and really get to grips with its mechanics. Like back when this stuff was current, back when I was playing arcade ports on the Atari ST and so on, sort of being able to beat one of these games was like a significant achievement, because after a certain point the game said, no, you're not good enough to carry on, let's go from the beginning again, you try again. There's a lot of modern game design philosophy doesn't have that sort of fail state built into it. There you are, see, I landed on that graphic there and I got 5,000 points for it. So that's one thing you get at the end of each stage. 19 cars that time, 5,700 bonus points. And on to my favourite music, with only one life, so we'll probably only hear a little bit of it. This is a tricky old stage, actually. As you could see. See, now this situation here, this is where Infinite Continues would be handy. And there probably is a cheat mode for this, I haven't looked it up though, but I'm just showing you the authentic gameplay experience. So of course this is also back in the day when games didn't really have options menus. So there's no difficulty settings in this, there's no changing how many credits you've got, no changing how many lives you've got, no changing what boundary you get extra lives at. I don't think you do get extra lives in this actually. But even so, like I say, this is a game that is just fun. It's just fun. You don't have to think too hard about it. You just sit down, you just play it, you enjoy it, and then you set it aside, and you go and do something else.
Or, if you're me, you end up playing it for several hours without realising it. Takes a moment to check runtime on camera. Oh, it's hard to land on that one. But yeah, this is one of my favourites on the Data East collection for Evercade, definitely. A game that before I played this, I sort of had a passing familiarity with. Like, I knew the name Burnin Rubber. And not just because there's a game of the same name on the Amstrad CPC or the GX4000 console, which is not the same as this game as far as I'm aware. But no, prior to getting the Evercade, this is not a game that I'd spent any time with before, or really knew much about beyond the name. So, it's another good example of one of the Evercade's biggest strengths, which is introducing or reminding you of the existence of some slightly lesser known games that don't get as much love and attention whenever there's sort of pieces that are waxing nostalgic or looking back at the history of various companies or whatever. Like, in the grand scheme of things, this wasn't an especially quote-unquote important game or anything like that. It wasn't the first to do anything in particular. But it is a good game. It's a fun game. It's an enjoyable game. And as I say, when I'm not specifically writing about a particular game or making a particular video on Evercade games, this is one that I just keep returning to. Right, let's try not to mess up this time. Be very careful in these flooded bits. Got that glorious NES Sound Champ Latin beat going on. Oh no! Is that Latin? It's more Calypso, I guess, isn't it? Got a kind of Caribbean feel to it. I feel like you kind of want to keep jumping on this level. Oh no! And not get smashed into watery bits. No one likes getting smashed in their watery bits, do they? Those white cars, and the white and blue cars, I think technically they're supposed to be police cars and ambulances, and I think you're not really supposed to smash them up, but you still seem to get points for them. Oh no! Oh, I made it! Check it out. On to level 4. I don't usually get this far. I have got this far before, but I don't usually get this far. But again, I think I've reached this point with just one life, so we're probably not going to see very much of this. So now we're on to the mountain pass. At least I think that's what this is supposed to be. It certainly makes me think of like a winding mountain pass. And you got bulldozers to contend with on this one. Ooh, God. And lots of obstacles in the road. Oh, it's all over. It's all over. I was wondering if I was going to reach 50,000 points there, but not quite. 41,360. Let's have one more go, and then we'll wrap up for today. One more go. I promise it's just one more go. Just the one. Unless I make a real mess, in which case I reserve the right to not make it one more. But I'll see if we can have some similarly solid performance on this run here. Yeah, that white and blue one there, that's technically a police car, which you're not really supposed to crash into, but you do get 100 points for it, so, you know. Fuck the police, I guess. Oh no, that's what I get. That's what I get for not respecting the law. we might have to have another go at this, because this is shockingly poor performance on my part here. I'm getting greedy, that's the problem. I'm just trying to get too many kills. Let's just drive like a sensible person. There we go. That was the finish line as well. Right, no, sod that. We are having another go. I'm going to try for the 50,000 point bonus this time. I'm almost certainly not going to get it, but let's just play defensively. Well, failed. Oh no, too early. It's alright, it's all good. Oh no, too early again. Safe. $5,000 points. I was wrong, you do get some points for landing on the bigger island as well. That's nice. I think you just have to land fairly cleanly on it. Didn't quite make the graphic again. That screeching you heard, if you press the B button, or the A button on the Evercade, you can brake hard as well, and that sort of slows you down quite rapidly. And you can do that in mid-air as well, because video games. Unfortunately, it was not enough for me to actually land on the target. I haven't seen any of those bonuses yet. They sometimes seem to come out the back of trucks, and then sometimes they're just lying on the road, I think. I'm not really sure what the prerequisite for them is. Prerequisite usually seems to be when you're not looking for them. Oh no, 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 no! I knew that jump was a bad idea as soon as I left the ground. Up and over. Oh, just missed. I can never quite work out if that lady is naked or if she's wearing like a racing suit. It could be either, really, to be honest. That's the beauty of low resolution pixel art with not very many colours. Look at the colours in this game though, they're lovely. It's just such a lovely combination of happy NES colours. There's some lovely cheerful music to keep you company. It's just an overwhelmingly nice game. And I absolutely love it. Bouncy island bit. Oh, what the hell are you? Oh, you're dead now. Another one. Oh no! It's not the end. It's not the end. Oh, I think that was one of the... Oh, no. I think that was one of those icons, but it was sitting on one of those islands right next to a tree, so that would have been a bad idea to go for. Anyway, that is Burnin Rubber for the Evercade, originally for the Famicom and NES, this version anyway, and then the arcade before that, back in 1982. So, written by Vic Tokai, this version, and originally published by Data East. Yeah, a lot of fun. Part of the Data East Collection 1 cartridge for Evercade, which is the third in the library, and a game that I absolutely love coming back to time after time. And indeed, after I'm done here, I'm probably going to play this a little bit more. But for now, just remains for me to say, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.